And here we go.
We have liftoff.
Propulsion continues to be nominal.
R68 chamber pressure looks good.
Doubling up. Roger, roll, Atlantic.
Water towers fly! Yes!
Payload down to nominal.
Flight downside FD off. Bring in FD off. Off. It's orange! 145!
Oh my god! Oh my god!
Decollage.
What is it?
Put that in the big bag, you know.
343 unfolds to go.
Indeed.
We rise together, back to the moon and beyond.
The methane would be igniting the flare, correct?
Yikes. You dead? Sure. We don't need any more of these.
A very good morning, everybody here from the Cape. I'm so sorry, I totally butchered that. My name is Adrian Ball. I'm your host for today's Falcon 9 mission, which is scheduled to lift off in 58 minutes from now. And I can already spoil it for you. It's a bit of a mystery. We will talk about all of that. But there you can see Falcon 9, hopefully about an hour away from launch. And I'm joined here today by an excellent team of commentators, starting with Alex. Alex, how are you doing?
It's also rather early here.
Yes.
It's early for the both of us, right? But I'm guessing for some other people might be too late in the night.
Absolutely. I will check in here as well with Max Evans.
Good morning, everybody. Yes, it is a bit of a mystery mission out here at Cape Canaveral tonight, but it is not the first time that we have had one of those. But it is a beautiful night here on the Space Coast nonetheless, and we are happy to see Falcon 9 off one more time.
Absolutely. And behind the scenes is Carson producing today's stream. And as always, if you have any questions about today's launch, make sure to tag at NASA Spaceflight in chat, and we will make sure to answer these as quick and as as detailed as we can. And with that, Alex, it's called commercial GTO-1. That's a bit, according to SpaceX. We have a bit more information, but what's this mission?
Yeah, I mean that's one of the things, right, with mystery missions that you have to piece together some of the information that's scattered around places, right, to be able to guess what it is. And SpaceX is not making it easy by saying commercial GTO-1. At first, you might think, oh, well, this is some kind of rideshare to GTO, right, to Geosynchronous transfer orbit and all that stuff, right? Because we've seen some rideshare missions, and SpaceX also has its own smallsat rideshare program, right, with bandwagon, transporter missions, blah, blah, all that. So the name of the mission could evoke that sort of thought, right, that it's probably some kind of rideshare mission to GTO. Now, the thing is, we have not seen any payloads, right? Like when there's a sort of rideshare mission or something like that, transporter, bandwagon, or any other dedicated rideshare mission, we usually see customers being like, oh, hey, we're going to be launching on Falcon 9. You know, usual posts on social media and talking about their satellites and whatever. And also, the SpaceX website usually tells you what they're going to be launching, right? Like it says, we're deploying this payload, this other thing. However, there's no such information. And that makes you think that perhaps commercial GTO-1 is actually some kind of, name to hide a true payload, right? That they're launching on this mission. And so right now we can explain a little bit better, maybe later into the broadcast, why we think what we think. But right now it seems like it might be the Dror War mission. I don't know how to pronounce that. DROR-1 is the name of the satellite, and there's certain clues out there why we think about that. Again, we may talk about that in the later in the broadcast. This answer is already going too long, I guess.
I mean, this was just 2 minutes. That's I would say one of the shorter Alex introduction answers. So, but yeah, I have a wild guess that this rocket might go to GTO. That's my
Yeah, at
first.
least at least that's very clear from the name of the mission.
Absolutely. Let me Max. I like to ask you the weather question, and I know the first part of the weather is. I mean, bugs are not really part of the weather, but I heard there are some bugs out there. But besides that, bugs usually mean no wind, right?
Yes. At least no heavy winds. It has been a rather damp and rainy past couple of weeks here on the Space Coast, so the mosquitoes are running rampant. But in terms of the actual weather conditions that matter, according to the 45th Weather Squadron based out over at the Patrick Space Force Base south of the Cape Canaveral Space Force Station, they are forecasting only a 20% probability of weather violation tonight, which is a really good forecast. So in other words, we are 80% favorable, with the only concerns they have being the cumulus and anvil cloud rules. And judging by what the Mark 1 eyeballs are telling me right now, I'm only seeing a bunch of high altitude cirrus clouds, which are of zero concern. And also, in terms of the upper level wind shear, the booster recovery weather and solar activity risk criteria are also rated low. So really, weather looks as good as it can get tonight. The air is pretty still and stagnant and rather thick here. You can almost drink it with the straw, but that is so on par with just summer weather here in central Florida. But in terms of weather, that is I guess on par with what Falcon 9 needs to get off the ground tonight. Things are looking great.
I like that. I like the possibility of it being a smooth mission. Also, NSF does not recommend drinking air through a straw.
Yeah, I would not
Unless-
recommend that. It'd be very uncomfortable.
Unless you're taking 24% of the air into liquid form through a straw called a transfer tube on your rocket. Sorry, I was trying to make a really bad joke about the fact that, liquid oxygen is like 24% of air or something like that.
Is a transfer tube just a straw for rockets?
I guess, yeah. And
Wow.
Falcon 9 has that because it has the liquid oxygen on top. So it's a transfer tube for liquid oxygen.
So basically, it's just a big old straw for either Raptors or Merlins.
Yeah, it's like you have like a nice cold drink and you're drinking through a straw, the liquid oxygen.
Okay, 21%, roughly a fifth of the air. Okay, somebody.
Hey, Chat, can you tell that we are all a bit early or late in the day? I'm not sure. Anyway, let me hit some questions here. Starting with Simboy asking, how long until propellant loading, Alex?
Should be another 15 minutes or so. That always begins at T-minus 35 minutes in the countdown. There you can see some of the events that should be happening in the next few minutes. Of course, this assumes that they're going to be going for the opening of the window. This launch has a 3.5-hour window. So, long window to be able to attempt this launch. It opens at 1:04 a.m. Eastern. That will be 5:04 UTC. So, we'll see if they actually go for the opening of the window. I really wish they go to the opening of the window because, yeah, it's super early, as you mentioned before.
Yeah, I would agree. Let's hope this timeline on the left is exactly followed. And there's there's also questions about the like Alex, we need to unpack this more. Fighting Falcon is asking, so why is today's launch named so weird? I know it's most likely Israel satellite, but why would they keeping it secret?
Well, it depends on what kind of satellite it is, right? It's not the first time that SpaceX has launched a sort of, either a communications or a reconnaissance satellite for Israel, right? We had the Eros C3 spacecraft, for example, back in 2022 from Vandenberg. That was a reconnaissance satellite. and we really did not have any advance notice. But at least at the time, they publicized that as Eros C3, for example, right? You could say that perhaps the geopolitical sort of status, right, might be in play here as well, but I have no idea, to be honest. Like, some customers just decide to sort of secretly launch their stuff, and it just happens like that. Even ESA, for example, when they launched the first pair of Galileo satellites, they called this the launcher, right? They did not even acknowledge that it was Falcon 9 and things like that. Like, there are sometimes some government missions in general that are treated so like this in terms of the secrecy, right? We did not see, for example, satellite separation on that mission with Galileo satellites, right? And those are, the European GPS satellites, if you will, right? So they also carry a little bit of, I guess, national security concerns, if you will, but still, if you're very picky, you can probably catch it by a thread and say, oh yeah, this is the reason for that, right? So I can think of maybe this also being part of that as well, where it's like, oh, maybe it's some kind of communications satellite / reconnaissance satellite or something like that, right? That they're trying to launch, and therefore they don't want people see that stuff, right? I'd still think it's not that big of a deal, in my opinion, because there's many powerful countries out there with lots and lots of different methods to figure this out, many more than we have. And if we can sort of, think about this and look at the data and already guess what the payload it is, imagine, some of these other countries out there with many more resources than us nerds, right? So yeah, that's my 2 cents on that topic. But yeah, that's probably why.
And there's a certain Kevin Michael Reed asking, but why is it called GTO-1? Hasn't SpaceX launched dozens of GTO missions for commercial customers? It's just a placeholder name, right? Like, it's just we don't give you any detail, so we just call it the Orbit-1.
Yeah. One other thing might be that this is the name that the customer is giving to it, right? You could think maybe it means that it is a commercial, meaning commercial contract, because there's always differences between, when you have a government acquired launch contract and then a contract that you acquire commercially. Even the US government does that often, where it's like, they have the official national security space launch program, right? The big one with the billions and billions of dollars, that there's these many processes and paperwork that companies need to follow in order to launch their payloads. But then there's a few missions every now and then which they acquire commercially, sort of like any other launch satellite company, essentially. So I could think maybe that's what's happening here, where, this customer acquired this not as a government, but more as a commercial company, right? And then, since it's the first time maybe to GTO, that's why they called it like this. Pure speculation on my part, but it wouldn't make sense, right? If it were from the SpaceX side of things, if you just said it, right? They've launched more stuff to GTO than just once, so it will probably not make sense from SpaceX's side of things.
Yeah, in general, I think we should mention that all the secrecy around this launch is most likely not a SpaceX decision. Like, that's 99% a customer decision. Because all SpaceX says on their blog post is that this will be the launch of the commercial GTO-1 mission. Like, that's it. That's all the information they give on the payload. There's nothing else. And that's very, very likely a customer decision. And we'll see if maybe later there will be more revealed. But for now, we are left to speculate. There's the blog post. Like, that's all they say. They say commercial GTO-1 mission. Again, that's most likely not the SpaceX name, because as Kevin has asked here, and as also Alex explained, they have launched to GTO quite some time.
Many times, yeah.
Yep.
I mean,
Probably
just in the
more than-
last month, it's been like twice already. This will be the third time. So yeah.
Absolutely. So yeah, anything more about the GTO-1 mission we should know, Alex?
Well, I guess like, how do we even know that it's probably going to be this Israeli satellite? And I don't know if Carson can maybe pull up what he said was ready to go. But there's this. It's a very nice screenshot there, I guess. So there's paperwork for a satellite, right? That's supposed to launch no earlier than. So this was from May, like all the way back in May, early May, in fact. So a couple of months ago, and it talks about Intelsat, which is a satellite operator, but it also provides, for example, services to communicate with satellites as soon as they are deployed. So as soon as a satellite is deployed, you need to communicate with it, need to make sure that it's deployed the antennas, the solar panels, etc., etc. You need to do a lot of these early orbit phase services, as they call it there. It's the LEOP thing that they mentioned there. And so Intelsat provides those services to any other satellite company. It doesn't need to be one of their own satellites, right? Sort of like the middleman there to be able to do those sort of services. And so here, this is a Federal Communications Commission permit, and they were requesting a permit precisely to communicate with a satellite for these purposes, for all of that early orbit phase service, essentially right after the deployment of the satellite, and communicate with it and do all of the testing, etc., and also the positioning into its final orbit. And so it said for the PR-8000 satellite, that is the nickname for the GTO-1 satellite that we just mentioned about. And then it also mentions that it is expected to launch no earlier than July 1st, 2025. Now, this is from May, so a 12, 13-day delay or something like that wouldn't be that weird to think about, right? Since this was filed and approved and whatnot in May. So what else is launching in July from the United States, right, to GTO during July? There's nothing else, right? Other than we had the MTG-S1 satellite, but that's not the nickname of this satellite. Like it's not PR-8000 as it says there. PR-8000 is that Israeli satellite that we just talked about, that we think it's the payload for this. So when you connect the dots, basically it's like, okay, yeah, so this mystery mission that just popped up, it's probably this. It's probably what this permit was referring to. But yeah.
Absolutely. So yeah, quite an interesting morning. Max, are you still being eaten by bugs?
Oh, that will probably not stop until the sun comes up very early in the morning now, which is about 6 hours from now. But yes, very much being eaten alive out here. But it is a gorgeous night out here, looking out towards the Cape Canaveral Space Force Station. Also, chaps, what we haven't talked about yet, which I think is pretty relevant, is what booster is currently flying tonight. So on the docket over at Slick 40 is booster B1083, and this will only be its 13th. Well, I say only 13th. It's
Only?
13th mission. Yeah, only 13. 13 seems still kind of young in terms of the Falcon 9 first stage fleet, with now many of them being well into the 20s now. So 13 seems, I guess, maybe middle age, I think is more appropriate. But its list of previous missions starts out with Crew 8, Polaris Dawn, CRS 31, Astronis from 1 to Many, IM2, and 7 previous Starlink missions. So not exactly the most experienced by comparison to some others in the fleet, but it's also not a youngster as well. So rather important piece of info there, I think, that we should mention as well before we move on into the count, as we are nearing the go no go for prop load here in just a couple of minutes. But also it's worth noting that about 8.5 minutes into flight, hopefully the first stage stage booster B-1083 will be meeting the drone ship. Just read the instructions out straight east out into the Atlantic Ocean for recovery, and also the vessel out about 100 kilometers farther downrange, aiding in fairing recovery, is Bob. So I guess in terms of SpaceX's standards, this is a pretty normal GTO, I guess, poised, or what's the word I'm thinking about? Postured mission for a GTO standard trajectory, but otherwise, things are looking pretty standard on that front. But obviously, as we have discussed so far, the payload is not.
Absolutely. Thank you for that, Max. Totally valid point that we didn't mention the booster, which tells you that this is not a Starlink, because we are able to we are able to talk 20 minutes before mentioning that the booster is landing today. So that's a thing. Interesting. Let me thank some people here, actually, because we get some support here, starting with Mr. Fluffy02 with a super chat saying, "It's still my birthday on the Best Coast, so Adrian, sing." Listen, it's 6 a.m. in Germany. Like, I really don't want to sing. And also, you're the first person ever to request that somebody sings for their birthday, because every time I have birthday, people, when they sing for me, I have to stand there like awkwardly waiting for it to be over. And you always don't know what you do with your hands, and you're like, just stand there and you're like, should I sing with them or should I just smile? Like, we all have that feeling, right?
Crickets.
Okay, moving on. Z becoming a red team member. Thank you so much for that. And then RC Horseman gifting 10 red team memberships. Thank you so much for that, RC Horseman. And then we have the Titan 3C also becoming a red team member. Thank you all so much. Alex, we have a question here from Debra. Asking, are they going to try to deorbit burn on stage 2 of this GTO launch?
Yes, indeed. So that's becoming sort of a thing now, where even on GTO missions they're trying to deorbit the second stage. So there you can see that that area for the reentry of the second stage. It takes a while for that second stage to re-enter, but we assume that the deorbit burn itself is probably done very soon after the deployment. It's just that because of orbital mechanics, it needs to go all the way around and then, come back and hit the Earth. And so it takes a while for that. It's usually like 15, 16 hours, I think. So yeah, that's very much the reentry portion for stage 2. And yeah, they've already done that for SXM-10. They did it for the MTGS-1 satellite as well. And now they're doing it again. That's neat. No space junk up there.
There we go. We like no space junk. That's a good thing. Do you think we will get second stage views from SpaceX? That's a very good question. And based on the timeline SpaceX has said, where they don't even give us a SECO 1 time, I mean, Alex, there's basically no chance we will get second stage views, right?
Yeah, I'm gonna guess we're not getting any stage 2 action on this. We may have, I don't know, like some call out about fairing separation, because it's mentioned there in the timeline, and so that may go in there, but I'm not so sure about SECO and all that stuff. Most likely they're gonna concentrate on covering the first stage, and that's gonna be it.
So you don't even think we're going to get a camera looking backwards at the MVAC?
You mean from the first stage?
No, on
the-
stage 2, because normally for
Oh.
Starlinks and other commercial missions, they have a camera looking upwards up at the payload, which they show at fairing separation and also elsewhere in flight if they have enough light. But normally, even if they do not have a camera able to show that on stream, they still normally show a camera looking down at the MVAC in flight. Maybe they might not do that tonight, but I really don't think they have a reason to not, since they're going geosynchronous. Maybe I'm wrong.
It depends.
I think this will be very similar to some other secret missions where they basically showed briefly, show the landing of the booster, and then cut coverage.
Yeah. Well, there's been other times where it's maybe been like hidden satellites on a Starlink mission. There was the Starlink 13-1, for example. It carried 2 Starshield satellites, and so they did not show the payload stack, but they still showed the second stage, which was funny. But they never showed the payload stack, and that was curious because they always show the payload stack, for example, at fairing separation, right? When they do the fairing separation, we see the fairings pop out and be jettisoned and everything. It was already suspicious at the time, and then after the fact, we got to know that there are 2 extra satellites going here that they did not disclose before the launch. Those are Starshield satellites. They even posted by accident after the fact, like many months later, some video of the satellites. Very much by accident, but it's somewhere there if you look up for it.
You know what else, Alex? Really quickly, speaking of the fairings, if you guys look really carefully up at the left-hand side of the fairing, kind of at the end of the crew access tower, there you can see a little bit of blue paint on the left side fairing, which obviously indicates that there is fairing art on this one, which is rather peculiar because there is next to no coverage of this mission at all. So there's not really an audience to show off this fairing art to until SpaceX goes live. It's also worth noting that there wasn't any separate media viewing opportunities over on the Space Force side for this one, nor do we have an opportunity to go out to Slick 40 and put cameras down. So obviously there is a ton that does not want to be talked about or shown here. But I find it rather peculiar to have fairing art on a mission that's so secretive. Maybe I'm just weird.
Yeah, and in fact, now that you say it, it kind of looks like it's IAI. Like you can sort of see like a bit of the A and the I at the end. You know what I mean?
Yeah, maybe
Which-
obviously we'll find out when SpaceX goes live with their pad cameras, but until then, this is all we got.
Which would be the Israeli Aerospace Industry. If you
there you can see.
Yeah, if you look online for the logo of the Israel Aerospace Industry, this looks to be matching.
Yeah, it even has
Which-
like the
Yeah.
cursive, the italics thing or whatever you want to call it, right? Sort of like
Thank God there's Frost.
with a slow. Oh, there we go.
Let's go. Alex, what? Oh, Max, why are we so
Max,
excited for
Max.
Frost here?
Well, at this point, we are beginning to see frost on the bottom of Falcon 9's first stage liquid oxygen tank, and that is all we can see for now, given the views. But because we now have visual confirmation that SpaceX is now into propellant load, they are committed to window opening at the current T0 of 1:04 a.m. because there is not enough time or resources once they go into prop load to recycle both the vehicle and ground systems in time for a second attempt later in the window. They have the ability to go further into the window if they need, but the call to do that and push into the window has to be made before they go into propellant low, which obviously they are now. As we can see, the wall of frost beginning to rise pretty rapidly on the bottom of Falcon 9's liquid oxygen stage. At this point in time, they should be commencing with, as you can see, first stage LOX load and first stage RP1 load, as well as stage 2 RP1 load, which should complete at around T-minus 20 minutes and 20 seconds, which is where we see that bigger or best vent, as we call it, which is where SpaceX begins thermally conditioning the lines in the transporter erector in preparation for stage 2 liquid oxygen load. But that, of course, we will have a visual confirmation of that, hopefully in just about 10 minutes time. And once that wraps up at around T-minus 16 and a half minutes, that is our confirmation that stage 2 LOX load is underway. So, but we are just grateful to see the countdown now progressing on schedule now for 1:04.
There we go. That's good news. Alex, apparently people in chat want us to talk about Ship 37.
Why?
The question is when we all think Ship 37 is having a static fire.
Oh, oof. At least it's not about chip 26. Well,
Easy.
it might be, I don't know, a couple of weeks from now. What do you guys think?
I'm gonna say this month.
I would like to see by the end of the month. Obviously, SpaceX, given the fact that they want to do this, shows that they still have a drive and hunger to launch more this year, at least twice more, with the Block 2s. But yeah, hopefully by the end of the month to hopefully support a launch sometime in maybe mid-August, maybe mid to late August. But we're not sure. But hopefully by the end of this month for a static fire. Hopefully, it's going to be insane looking whenever it happens.
Yeah, I really agree that like launch feels to be somewhere in the mid to late August range. Like that's at least right now in my feeling as well. Very good question here from Joan M. Why would you keep the customer secret but give it away by fairing art? Very good question.
That's kind of why I was a bit perplexed earlier. It's just like, well, you want to keep this mission super secret and kind of anonymous, but then you have
And
fairing
then-
art on the left side fairing, so it's like, I don't know.
Maybe like SpaceX makes you pay like extra for blog post information and they just didn't pay for it. I don't know. It's weird. Like I don't have a good answer to this. It's certainly perplexing.
Yeah, when I mentioned earlier that some customers are really weird with their sort of how you can say requirements or requests to any launch company, it's rather weird. There was also like a recent Electron launch with Rocket Lab where it was like, oh, we cannot tell you what the customer is, but then the mission was called Symphony to the Stars or something like that, and then they had a Lyra thing on the patch and everything, and it's like, yeah, it's a Lyra satellite, we know that. Don't like really. We
There's
cannot
also
tell you who the customer is, but here is all of the clues on our name and patch.
There's a Chinese satellite line where they never tell you what it is, but the patch is always something ocean related, which is everybody kind of knows it's an ocean observation satellite. And it's every time like they're telling you, no, we cannot tell you what it is, but here's another ocean patch. So, yeah, it's a thing. Some customers are just weird. That's the TLDR here. Cindy Boy asking, have they started loading propellant? Yes. You can see that at the white clouds you see at the bottom of the rocket. These are parts of the propellant loading procedure. There. Nice zoom. Thank you, Carlos. So, let's see here. What else do we have in the question? Tim's wondering if it's not transfer tube or downcomer, the correct term is upside down straw. I like that, and I think we should make Jack say that.
How
Why?
how can a straw be upside down though?
Yeah, it works
Well-
both ways.
It's like that's like asking the question: Does a straw have one hole or two holes?
I hate that question because
It's
I
one hole.
never have like I'm not sure if I agree. I don't it's a very complicated question that I always struggle with. That's
It's very
Max
very
102
easy. You go
No,
in one
it's
side,
not.
you go out the other side. That means it's one hole.
Or I would say that could also mean it's two.
No.
Okay,
one
moving
hole,
on.
You have, anyways.
Nope. We're moving on. Mr. Fluffy with another super chat here saying, I hear a lot of excuses, KMR to something. I really don't want to sing this morning. Really. Like Mr. Fluffy also with another super chat saying, Ship 26 never blew up. Clearly best ship. Wrong.
Facts.
And then
That's
It's
an
close.
absolute fact.
yeah, I mean it's factual correct, but still wrong. And then Crispy with 10 Areti memberships gifted. Thank you so much for all of that support. It really helps us out making these very early morning Falcon 9s happen. Because this is one of these surprising launches that have a bad time zone for both US and Europe. So congratulations for picking that exact time slot. Let's see here. Does a Falcon 9 have a transfer tube, or is that tube on the outside, Alex?
It does have a transfer tube. It is on the inside. It runs through the middle of the RP1 tank on the kerosene tank at the bottom. Yep.
Yeah, and like it would be very visible if it would be on the outside. Like running that much propellant would require is requiring quite a pipe.
Sometimes you see that pipe on the outside because if your booster has a very bad moment in on the drone ship after recovery, then you see that tube.
That
It's-
is true. That we had that in the past. Oh, that was a sad booster recovery.
There's been a few of those now, unfortunately, the last couple of years.
Yeah.
But we hadn't had one for quite a long time. Maybe it will never happen again, right?
Don't you dare jinx it, Adrian. Don't you
Maybe-
you dare. Commentator Curse
maybe-
coming in strong. Hopefully not.
Maybe they will never have a recovery failure again. Okay, you can now blame me if it happens. Let's see here. Flippers, also team member here, gifting 5 Red Team memberships. Thank you so much, Flippers. And good, very good, well, not really good morning. Late, but what do you wish people in the late evening? Anyway,
Good night.
thank you so much. Oh yeah, true.
But without the sleep part.
Good night, but without the sleep part sounds like a
That sounds
like
so
a shirt.
inconvenient.
Yeah, it's like sounds like a shirt idea. Also, like good night, but without the sleep part.
Put it on the store or something. I won't charge you anything for that.
I mean, that's like very good for like late night Starlings. Good night, but without the sleep part. Max will get one of these.
We have a lot of those around here, around these parts lately.
Yeah, I really think, Alex, that's actually a topic I want to bring up. Is that in any shape or form planned? Or is it just a random occurrence that lately all of these missions happen between 1 a.m. and 6 a.m. Eastern Time?
I mean, this one in particular is a customer mission. It's not a Starlink mission, so it probably has its own requirements that it's separate from the Starlink missions. The MTG's S1 mission, for example, was in the middle of the day, right? It was not in the middle of the night. That was nice. And it still, it launched during daylight at the very least, right? So it usually depends on the GTO satellite that they're launching. Some customers just cannot launch at certain times of the day, for example, because of ground station coverage and things like that. Remember where we talked about, about Intelsat doing a lot of the stuff of controlling the satellite and testing it and doing orbit racing and everything after the deployment, right? Sometimes the first time the satellite phones home, essentially, right? That could even be a constraint for the launch time, because you probably don't want to do that while your operators are asleep, right? Or at a very unhealthy time of the day. And so, for example, it may be now super like it's 12:42 a.m. Eastern, but maybe it's a very good time for whatever is the operator, right, of the satellite. And so maybe that's a very nice moment for them to be able to contact the satellite as soon as it separates. So things like that can factor into this sort of thing. And it's also a 3.5 hour window because they just can't do that sort of stuff with GTO missions. It's not like, intercepting the ISS orbit and things like that, which has an instantaneous window. So, yeah. And I think I've stalled
Absolutely.
enough for in a few
Yes, you
seconds,
did.
right?
Explain, Alex, what is happening in 5 seconds from now?
Yeah, so there we can see, in fact, that T-minus 20-minute event popping up here as usual on the countdown. There we can see the timeline for a typical Falcon 9 launch. And as you can see, it says logs chill down, and that means they are chilling down the liquid oxygen line ahead of loading liquid oxygen on the second stage. Usual standard procedure that you can see there, that white smoke is condensation from the air, the very cold gaseous oxygen that they are venting from the Stromback is condensating all of the humidity in the air, which somebody in this broadcast said you can drink with a straw, but we do not recommend that.
I was talking about the air. I was not talking about the locks or the
Well,
GOX
the
now, as you can say.
but yeah, the air, the humidity, right? The water vapor in the air. That's what we're seeing actually. What you see is the water condensing into little droplets and everything.
I wonder how cold it is to stand in that white cloud. Like,
It
is that
probably feels incredibly refreshing. I'm not gonna lie. When Jack and I were hanging outside the tank farm in Starbase, I think it was for flight 6, like right across the road when they were doing some venting, and Jack and I were standing in the clouds. I think it was for nitrogen at that point, but it was like one of the most refreshing feelings you could possibly imagine. It was wonderful. But I imagine if it feels quite nice, albeit very, very cold. But at this point, given the combination of both locks and RP1 now on board the vehicle, I would not recommend standing anywhere near it.
that's absolutely true. We do not recommend standing in that. I just want to like I just I was speculating about how it feels. Now I'm kind of jelly that you got that, because when I was in Starbase, I always hoped for the tank farm to go bonkers while I was there, so I could experience that. Dang it. Sorry. I'm back from being annoyed about that. Let's see here. Does every part of the rocket land back on Earth? No. The booster will land back on Earth, and the fairings will be recovered as well. Correct?
You could say the second stage sort of lands back on Earth,
Oh yeah.
just
Oh,
not in
good,
one
shoot.
piece.
That's true. Also, the second stage will land back on Earth. Very high energy landing. Let's word it like that. It's impacting.
Yeah,
Jeez.
yeah.
So
Pun,
yeah,
no pun intended, or pun
Technically,
totally
all-
intended.
I'm still sad they didn't do that bouncy castle idea. Would have been so cool. Like,
uh,
I would have loved that. Anyway, I wonder how much weight the frost adds to the rocket and how different the weight would be with a low versus high humidity environment. I think we talked about that at some point, and it's most likely like it's a super small amount, right? Overall.
Yeah, I think it's safe to say it's pretty it's not really anything to take super seriously, and the same can be said as well for the layers of soot that build up on the surface of Falcon 9's first stages. Obviously, if it was a huge hindrance, we would see SpaceX taking the time and effort to wipe it all off. But obviously, now with the Fleet Leader 1067 at 29 flights, and that's 29 flights worth of soot now on the stage, they obviously don't deem it enough of a hazard, or it doesn't add enough weight to, I guess, alter or affect the amount of work that a Falcon 9 first stage can do effectively. So, while a great question, it really is, because I'm sure both the frost and the soot both add some weight to the booster, but obviously not enough to really affect its flight path or how much work it can do.
Yeah, especially I think the ice also very rapidly goes away at liftoff. Like, you can see a significant amount of ice falling down at liftoff and as well,
and also
which
like
is also adding to the effect.
yeah, and also like it's a thin layer of frost. It's not like it's a huge amount of frost that you see. It probably only adds maybe, I don't know, even if it adds like a couple of 100 kilograms, to the first stage, the relationship to the amount of payload that it sort of shaves off might be like 10, 20 kilograms, right? That's very much within the margins of Falcon 9. And on the second stage, it's smaller, so it's a lot less of the ice sticking to it. So it's probably, I don't know, 50 kilograms or something like that, right? I'm just making numbers here based on like, a hunch, basically. But I don't think it's a huge lot, right? I don't think it even removes, say, 100 kilograms from payload performance.
There's the
And then
moon.
it's shaken off. Yeah. There you go. Moon.
I saw the rising before I went to sleep this morning, and it was crazy big. So I'm not sure if that is the same for the US at this point, but it was crazy to see in Europe. That was kind of nice. With this full moon, or like close to full moon, Max, do we get a moon jellyfish?
Ooh, perhaps. I mean, the moon is in an ideal position, and obviously we are just past a full moon, which was yesterday. I think we're at 95 or 94%, I think, tonight on the moon. So, but it may as well be full for how much light is reaching us on the ground. But there is a really good chance. We'll have to wait and see. There is a decent amount of high altitude cloud cover that may get in the way for our cameras. But we'll have to wait and see. But I would say the odds are pretty good. There's also a chance, if you are in the right position, to get a lunar transit tonight if you are here on the Space Coast, both for the first stage and the upper stage as it begins to arch over above or way beyond the horizon. We are not in such position here at the price site. I'm sure if you go much farther north into the lagoon here north of the Space Center or even further, your odds of getting a good or a successful transit are there. But it is still a gorgeous view to have a near full moon out here tonight, and it is easing the usual pitch black darkness that we have out here. It is actually pretty well lit out here tonight.
Let's see here. People are now calling for you to capture a transfer. I don't think Max will start a sprint now with all the gear to that position. That would be, I think, yeah.
I would really love to. It's been a while since I really nailed one. I came close on the recent CRS mission, and I was literally a hair off. I was maybe 100 feet off of where it would have been dead center on. I think it was a mostly gibbous moon at that point. Yeah, it's been a while. I'm sure that there will be further opportunities here in the future. Hopefully sooner rather than later, both with the moon and the sun. But I don't think that's going to be possible tonight, unfortunately.
Next time, Max. Next time. Alex, this is one question more for you. Never mind. Carson, should I do this now? I will throw one more question to Alex. Why are we getting no-time notices on some of the Falcon 9 missions like KF-01?
What does that mean?
Like, I think we get no-time notices on every single Falcon 9 mission, right?
Yeah.
Like, They
I'm
always have the
confused.
no-time.
Yeah, maybe Gabriel can have a follow up maybe in chat to that. I'm a bit confused, to be fair. But yeah, that will be KF-1. If you're not aware, that should be the first Pepper mission on Falcon 9. So that's gonna be interesting.
Yeah, it's absolutely coming. That's gonna be an interesting one. That's next week, right?
Yeah, the next mission after this one from the Cape. So yep.
Absolutely. And at this point, we are 10 minutes away from launch. And I want to mention a very special way to support us, which we always like to promote because it's a way to support us as NSF and also the photographers who took the pictures. Here you can see amazing shots from our photographers. You can even filter by rocket on the left. You can filter by photographer. And basically, if you want to put either a metal print or a poster on your wall of one of these amazing shots, you support us. You give us, of course, some support. You get something. which is of course the print, and you also get a share for the photographer who took that picture. So basically, it's a way to support yourself, NSF, and the photographer. I think it's one of the best ways to support us, and I can tell you, I have a lot of metal prints and posters in my apartment, and I mean, look at this compilation here from Max. It's absolutely gorgeous. So if you want to have that on your wall, make sure to check out shop.lastspacedog.com and go to the prints section at the very top, and there you can filter for everything you want to have on your wall. We have a Falcon 9, Falcon Heavy, Starship, Atlas, New Glenn. We even have Shuttle in there, so there's quite a range. And with that, I think it's time. I want to point out a share goes to the photo. I didn't want to say you also get a share of the photographer. You're not getting a share of Max if you buy a print. Sorry. I want to clarify that. It's early in the morning. I'm very sorry. Max not included will be on a note on every single print. Okay, let's move on here. Apocalypse Cow gifting 5 Red Team memberships. Thank you so much for that. And we are now 8 minutes and 45 seconds away. At this point, Alex, basically, what is Falcon 9 doing the next 8 minutes and 30? What's the wrapping up process that we'll see here?
Yeah, so right now the rocket is, proceeding with the usual countdown timeline, where in a minute and a half or so they're going to be starting the chill down of the Merlin engines on the first stage, and then about a minute or so after that they're also going to be wrapping up RP1 load on the first stage as well. We're going to get Stromback retract and everything roughly T-minus 4.5 minutes. We're gonna get close out of the liquid oxygen load on the first and second stages at T-minus 3 minutes and T-minus 2 minutes, and so there's gonna be a lot of things happening in very quick succession now as they approach liftoff, and so there's gonna be a lot of things going on in the background.
And at this point, Max, I think it's time for you to get in position for tracking this beautiful rocket. So, see you after the launch, Max.
Indeed, it is indeed that time again, everybody. So good luck, enjoy the launch, and I will see y'all on the other side.
And while SpaceX still has not said or told us anything about this payload, I feel like at this point, I feel kind of confident it's indeed from the Israeli Aerospace Industries, because that's their logo.
Yep, IAI.
So if you need any more confirmation, this very much confirms that this is most likely DROR-1, a commercial, like a communication satellite, which is like covering the communication needs for Israel for the next 15 years or so, according to what we know about that satellite. Very, very likely to be that satellite at this point.
Yep.
So
somebody said it's quite funny, that they're trying to sort of not talk about it, but the fairing has their logo.
It's like it's so odd. I will not get over the fact that this is like so odd. Oh, let's not talk about it. By the way, who painted the customer logo on the fairing? Great job.
Yeah, you would expect at least a confidential customer to not put their logo on the fairing, right? And yet they did that.
Yeah, and just to point this out, the odd thing is it's not even mentioned on a blog post. If you have it on the fairing, why not have it on a blog post?
Yeah.
And I'm not blaming SpaceX here. Just pointing out again, I'm blaming not SpaceX here, because this is most likely all customer request.
They're doing what they're being paid for, essentially.
Yep. It's it's a very interesting combination. But with that, we are just 5 minutes and 30 seconds away from this beautiful rocket lifting off. At this point, basically everything is venti with today's humidity situation. We are getting quite a bit of venting from the rocket today. Alex, what do we know about the fairings of this mission?
Well, what we know is they are definitely flight proven. These are launching for an 18th time and 14th time. And one of the things that's going to happen is they may fly again after this because they're going to be recovered by Theron recovery vessel Bob. So we're probably going to have more flights of these in the future. One other thing that should be happening, you can see there, we're already under 5 minutes to launch. That is around the time where the Stromberg retract starts, all those preparations start happening. Around T-minus 4.5 minutes, that's when the clamp arms start opening. Then the Stromberg itself retracts about 1.8 degrees away from the rocket, leaving a little bit of room there for the actual final throwback at liftoff.
Absolutely. There we can see it, I think, at beginning. You can still see the there we go. They're opening. That is the opening of the climbs, and now the TE will start to move in a bit. And at this point we just ignore the logo on the fairing. It's like, oh, sorry, it's classified. We cannot know what is on that fairing. So I think it would be even funnier if the logo was like censored by digital. It's like a digital filter on it.
Pixelated or something, right?
Yeah.
No, don't look at it. We'll put it there, but don't look at it.
It would be quite funny. Everything processing normally here for Falcon 9, as we are about to cross the 200 seconds before launch. Again, Falcon 9 at this point is locked into a certain T0, which is the beginning of today's window. It cannot adjust, it cannot hold, it cannot change. Everything that is at this point holding the countdown would result in an S word for today. So basically, the Falcon 9 is locked into launch in 3 minutes from now. Hopefully. But I feel quite confident. This rocket has some heritage at this point. You could word it like that. How many Falcons is this again? I forgot the stats. Let's see here.
This is the 502nd launch of Falcon 9, the 501st orbital one. So there you can see. Why does it say in 527th overall?
We might need to correct that. Ignore that.
Yeah.
But it's 501st orbital mission.
Yep. And you add another one, that's total Falcon 9 flights because there was a suborbital one. But yeah. In terms of, readiness for launch, they just wrapped up the first stage LOX load. There's no usual sort of venting coming from the Stromberg or anything for that because it's fuel from the bottom. And so it's not related to the Stromberg. But in a few seconds, we should see that for the second stage because the second stage liquid oxygen load should be wrapping up rather soon. Once that happens, they're going to be closing out a lot of the umbilicals and everything that are on the Stromberg. They're going to be depressurizing some of those systems in preparation for liftoff in about 1 minute and 37 seconds from now. For people watching out there, this launch is heading to the east. So if you are around the site, you know already where to look at. And also, as usual, it's going to have a drone ship landing of the first stage downrange on just read the instructions. So no return to launch site, but still a recovery of the booster.
And at this point in time, the Falcon 9 launch is about 10 seconds away from taking over the countdown. Will be confirmed just then. And after that, it's just a matter of the launch director signing off for liftoff, which will happen around 35 seconds before launch. And from there on out, there we go. Falcon 9 is now in control of the countdown with startup. And we are just waiting for the final go from the launch director.
Yeah. It looks like they are already.
Falcon 9 is go for launch.
Yep. Falcon 9 is go for launch. Everything getting ready for that liftoff in 25 seconds from now. Stay tuned for that engine ignition. Should happen around 3 seconds before liftoff. We'll see lots of vapor, orange glow, and hopefully a liftoff in just 10 seconds from now.
And watch for the bottom of the rocket. There's the T-tab flash. There's ignition. And we have liftoff of commercial GTO-1 carrying an Israeli communications satellite to geostationary transfer orbit. Let's listen in. Beautiful ascent so far as Falcon 9 rises. I love the blue. Wonderful. Wonderful visual so far. And again, we hope for some moon jellyfish potentially. We'll see. We'll get that answer very, very, very soon here, as that is a phenomenon that will happen mostly during second stage flight, which we'll see in about 30 seconds from now. And yeah, everything looking good so far. The Falcon 9 is basically already past
The
max
blue.
Q and very close to MECO main engine cutoff, which will happen. Yeah, oh my god, it's so beautiful today. And we should be very, very close to MECO.
That is, Miko?
Shutdown. And there is main
And
engine
back
cutoff.
ignition. Yep, there we have MVAC ignition and also the view from the rocket itself here from SpaceX. Of course, not showing the second stage because it is a confidential customer, if you will. But we could see there that MVAC ignition from the booster and also here from the ground from Max. Good tracking. Oh, you can see a little bit of that white. Perhaps jellyfish? But yeah, and so right now that second stage should also be preparing for jettison of the fairings, but of course that is not something that they're covering because again, confidential customer, they are a bit hush hush, even though the fairing itself. Ooh, there we go. I think that was the fairing separation from the ground. That sort of puff that we just saw there. Maybe we'll see the individual dots from the fairing halves. Let's see. I think I see them. So yeah, that was indeed fairing separation on the second stage as it continues to head into orbit. Meanwhile, the first stage, here we can see the camera views from the booster. It is on its own ballistic trajectory. It got a bit of a push, right, out of the ground, and so it continues with its own inertia. It's now approaching its highest point in its trajectory over the ocean. There we can see the altitude still climbing a little bit, but it should reach apogee, that highest point, in just a few seconds, and then it'll be coming back down to Earth.
I should be clear again. Sorry about that. Apparently, internet service providers have sometimes problems providing internet. And everything looking good so far, I take it, Alex?
Yeah, right now, if people are wondering why is it so grainy and things like that, well, it's in the middle of the night, right? And so you can see what you can see. And so what you can see is a lot of grainy stuff because there's no good illumination for those cameras to really look at things, right? You can sort of guess some features though. You can see some of the grid fins, the structure of the interstage and everything. You can see perhaps some of the clouds on the ground and things like that. I think I can even see now the limb of the Earth atmosphere, but yeah, with no illumination, it's rather hard to see proper from that camera.
Good thing that Falcon 9 has brought quite a good light for us to see very soon. Which should ignite in about 15 seconds from now. There was a puff of RCS venting, I think.
Yep, and you can also see some of the engine chill at the bottom, like forward, further down from the camera, right? That's the engine chill preparing those engines to light up. Hey, I think you can see the second stage all the way to the right. You can see that?
Oh, yeah.
It's like a glow there.
That's so
It
cool.
sort of looks like that.
And we should get entry burn any second now.
It'll be interesting with a G-force meter there. Ooh, from the ground, look at that.
Look at that max track. That's amazing.
Nice. This is all the way from the
It
Cape,
almost
by the
looks
way.
like a meteor. And
Yeah.
that's shut down. Look at that,
Ooh, look at the
5
G-force.
Gs. It's really slamming the brakes.
Yep. And now we'll see the G-force of re-entry because it also slows down the whole thing.
Yeah, and you should see the drone ship very, very soon. And that's expected, comes like,
Ooh.
not blackout, but like some, oh, look at that.
Look at that. 5 Gs on re-entry.
6.
Almost. 7.
Almost 7. Look at that glow on the grid fins. And just 10 kilometers of altitude at this point. You can see the G-force going down at this point because the rocket is much slower.
Yep.
And you should be able to see the light of the drone ship usually in the top left grid fin. That's the area where the drone ship at some point appears.
Like it's going through some clouds there. You
Yep.
saw that, right?
There it is.
Wow. There we go. Out of the clouds.
There's the drone ship in the top left grid fin. And landing burn. Some steering from the grid fins there.
You can see the throttling on the G-force meter as well as it tries to adjust its force.
Absolutely insane footage, and that's landing like deploy. And that is a successful touchdown for B1083. Landing on just read the instructions. Good one. Nice. And that looks everything on track. And it looks like we really don't get anything on the second stage.
Yeah.
Like at all.
Yeah, nothing at all.
They really didn't like to show that one. Welcome back, Max.
Hello.
Great track with the entry burn.
Yeah, it's always a treat catching those at night because you really cannot see those during the daytime, and it's also heavily dependent on the cloud cover downrange whether or not you can see it. I also completely misjudged how GTO looks here from like 40 from the press site. For some reason, I thought the trajectory would be going off to the right, but it went off to the left, and I realized that really quickly. And I had a streak shot kind of down by the water, and I was like, "Oh no, I completely misjudged it." I don't know why, rookie mistake, but rapid turnaround replays here from Carson.
That was very, very fast. Speaking of shots by the water, there's another one.
Yes.
But by the way, I love that you said rookie mistake. How many Falcon 9s have you seen in your life?
Falcon 9s, I don't have an exact number, but my launch count in total is around 300.
Wow.
Speaking of hundreds of launches, you remember we've had this sort of thing about the 500th thing of launches. Assuming
Yes.
the payload deployment goes well and everything, this should be the 500th successful Falcon 9 launch.
Oh boy.
Yep.
How many
500.
500s are there gonna be?
The next one will be
But
the next one will be the 500 successful orbital
Orbital.
Falcon 9 launch.
Oh my goodness
Exactly.
gracious.
Ah, there's so many 500s.
We should get ready some merch for like the 600th and already have the meme of that. Anyway.
It's sorry, I just saw something in the back channel that very much.
Yeah, I saw that too.
Oh dear.
Crispy poking a bit of fun at Mike's streak shot.
Well, I'll have you know, Chris, I still had it in frame, luckily. So maybe I'll post it later.
Oh, look at that replay. Just
Oh, from
rising
Fleet.
there.
Yeah, this is from Fleet 2, it looks like, looking over all the way over the port, all the way towards Slick 40.
That's
and
from
now to our
press side,
press site
right?
robot cams. Yep, this is one of our press site robot cams.
Somebody asking when 500th 500th.
And the answer to that question is yes.
We will add more stupid qualifiers. Let's go. In the West.
In the West.
Still most
500th
funny
from-
social media.
500th from Florida, 500th from Vandenberg.
Oh, that will take
500th.
some time.
Yeah, it will.
Look at that.
This looks like it's one of our... Is this Cape 2 from Kevin Michael Reed, the one and only tracking?
it's a KMR track. Who's very proud of his work, apparently, in the back channel. The quote is, "Oh God, you shouldn't show that."
Another one of the
I'm leaking.
hut robot cameras as well. This looks to be KSC3.
I always love how it looks like a small, a medium-sized star, honestly, just rising casually from the ground.
I mean, that's basically how it looks to the naked eye as well. I mean, any Keralox combustion or SRB combustion from a rocket like Falcon 9, Atlas 5, and Vulcan with the SRBs, it's really, really bright. You know, we call it in artificial sunrise for a reason, and hopefully one of the replays upcoming should show that.
Jay is saying in back channel 500 Falcon 9 with a T0 between 0001 and 5:59 local time.
You joke, but I know somebody on the next space
Oh, look
flight
at that.
Discord that literally said this is Falcon's 40th launch to happen within the hour, 500 UTC to 559 UTC. That's
And Max has covered all of them.
That's how some people go with their
That's a Max track.
the screenshots.
I think
So-
This
I think
will
that's
be
a Max
yes.
track, right?
Yep, and this
Yes.
one also should have audio as well.
I'll listen in.
Ooh, there we go.
It looked like there was also a bit of a vapor cone as it was transcending the supersonic region of airflow, but it's a lot more difficult to tell, obviously during these nighttime launches because you can't really see the body of the rocket that well.
Yep. Very, very cool. I love it. I love Falcon 9 at night. I love the blue that you sometimes get to see at these nighttime launches.
Oh no, it's not sometimes, it's every single one. The exhaust transitions from orange to like this dark red and then into this blue or purple kind of color before like the borderline green right before Miko. It really is special. It's so beautiful.
It's my second most loved exhaust plume.
What's your first one? Is it the R68 from Delta 4 Heavy?
No, it's New Glenn, because New Glenn is like so on brand blue. I love it.
Yeah. Yeah, those BE4s do burn really, really blue.
Yeah, like that was such a blue liftoff.
And hopefully
It
more to
was
come.
beautiful. Yes, please. And look at that. That's a shot from Sawyer there.
From all the way down
Also
in South Florida.
shows you how long this exhaust is from Falcon 9.
Yeah, it really is difficult to tell from the perspective behind the vehicle as we are here at the KC press site from Select 40 in particular, but from a profile like right on the coast and a lot farther downrange like Sawyer had, you can really tell just how much the exhaust expands and lengthens as it flies up into a lower ambient pressure in the atmosphere as it ascends.
Crazy. That's like what, 10 times its size or like something.
Yeah, if not more.
in-
Yeah, that's
yeah, it's
insane.
crazy.
Just you wait until
Abs-
Starship flies from there.
Oh God, please.
Yes. That's all I'm saying. Yes. Whew.
Pretty please.
What? What was that?
We got a cube zoom into a black picture.
Carson fail.
Nope, that is.
Oh,
this
okay.
is the entry burn track here from the press site.
Okay, yeah.
But the cube zoom into black was still funny.
Yep.
An optimal
was.
use of space there from Carson.
There we go. Amazing. Let me thank some more people here, starting with Jeremy Elwood with Super Chat saying, "Wish I could afford more. You guys do awesome work." Never say that. Like, everything you do, every way to support, even if it's just chat messages or a store order or just a thumbs up on a stream, is already a very, very generous amount of support. So don't feel bad. I'm just thanking you for supporting it in that way. Lots of random saying in the super chat saying, Max crushing it. No surprise there.
You're too
good,
kind.
Max.
Thank you.
And then another Jeremy Elwood with super chat say, "Can you move your logo up above status graphics?" I will forward that to the NSF Motion Graphics department. Byteford with gifting 5 Red Team memberships. Thank you so much. And then finally, Z Space becoming a Pet Red member. There we go. And there's the beautiful moon. And with that, I'm allowed to thank some people here. Alex, thank you so much for spending the morning with us. Gypsum.
Yeah, it's been a nice morning. I'll probably go back to bed before doing anything today. But yeah,
Yep.
It's been a nice, wonderful morning here with another Falcon 9 launch, and the next one, Kuiper, on Wednesday. Also a really late night launch, very early morning, if you will. It's 2:10 a.m. Eastern. Good luck to
yay.
whoever covers that.
Oh yay. Max, how do you are you excited for that?
Well, I'm actually not going to be in Florida next week, so Godspeed to
True.
D. I believe D is coming back,
Yep.
and whoever else opts to come out and cover that one. So, Godspeed to them. But thank you very much, everybody, for coming to hang out for another mystery midnight mission, Triple M here on the Space Coast with Falcon 9. It's always a pleasure hanging out with everybody. So, thank you very much for hanging out, and we will see you again very soon.
Yeah, behind the scenes, we also had Carson running the stream. And we had Kevin Michael Reed also providing a track with a robotic asset. So thank you all for being around here tonight. My name is Adrian Bayer. I was your host for today's mission. And with that, I'm also going back to bed. So have a good night, everybody.
And here we go.
We have liftoff.
Propulsion continues to be nominal.
R68 chamber pressure looks good.
Rolling up. Roger, roll, Atlantis.
Water towers, fly! Yes!
Tango down to nominal.
Flight comprised speed off. Bring in SPD off. Off. It's orange!
Oh my god! Oh my god!
Decollage.
What is it?
Put that in the big bag, Eagle.
343 unfolds to go.
Indeed.
We rise together, back to the moon and beyond.
This methane will be igniting in the flare, correct?
Yikes. You good? We don't need any more of these.